second there.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're all right, mate. You're all right. I was going to happen because my phone wasn't sending any links. So lucky that working. We'll start the interview off with how every alcoholic starts it off. My name's Matthew. I'm a punk enthusiast.
Hello, Matthew. My name's Gary, and I'm a punk enthusiast as well.
Excellent. All right. So I've got to start it off as the usual question. What are your influences?
My influences personally, a lot of Aussie rock stuff, early stuff. The AC/DC, the Angels, the Vinyls, the Radiators, all that kind of stuff.
We said at the same time then.
The Sunny Boys. The first band I ever saw live was My Sex on the back of a truck at Longreef Beach. Yeah. The second band I saw was the Sunny Boys at a youth concert, 1980. And the third band was the Numbers that played at my high school at lunchtime. So that was a good introduction. But a lot of that stuff I was already onto through mates' older brothers. They'd be, doing up their Sandman cars in driveways while we were skateboarding around, and they were listening to it, So we had that stuff. And then, my mum, she was packing shelves at Coles at night, and she was talking to a guy who was a punk who worked at Knives at night with her, and she said, "Oh, my son Gary's listening to the Angels and Kiss and this." And he said, "Take that home, you'll like this." And it was the Sex Pistols. And it had Devo on the other side. And it was an old Opus tape, And I just put it on and I went, fuck, So I got into punk. That would have been about 79. It was in primary school, but I didn't know it was punk. It was just another band to me. I just thought, wow, this is pretty cool. As I entered high school, other kids had other punk stuff and the ska stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Just evolved from there, Yeah,
definitely. So when did you first start playing music?
I was in a band in the 80s, mid-80s. Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to tell me what the name of the band was?
Oh, the band called Maximum Security, and we did and we just did a couple of local parties and the Racecourse Hotel. It never really went anywhere. And then after that, I had kids, and I didn't do anything till about the early 90s, and I was in a band called Speedball.
Speedball, yep.
Speedball. Yep. And Speedball morphed into Crucified Venus. And we actually went to England, played a couple of shows in England, put an album out, and that disintegrated. And a guy called Nigel Halloran from a band called Rule 303, we formed another band after that and did an England tour and all that.
So, barking, someone's knocking on the front door, so the dog's just going mental. Excellent. Yeah, I heard everything you said. That's fine. We're just going to have a dog barking in the background for a couple of seconds there. So, yeah. So,
sign off.
Yeah. One thing that I'm really excited about this, and I really want to talk about is you've got some history with my favorite band, World War 24.
Yeah. Personally, World War 24, apart from Rose Tattoo, I'm not sure which one I've seen the most, but probably World War 24, because as teenage punks and that around here, and they'd play at in everyone's backyard.
Yeah.
So they were a bit older than me. I'm 54, and I think Bird might be even 60 now. So those guys we were looking up to, and they'd play everything, people's 18th birthdays and that. And then we'd start going into, we used to get public transport over from Narrabeen to Seven Hills to see them, which is a trek, and they'd
worth it.
Hey?
It would be worth it. It'd be worth it. I'd go in the state to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. They'd pile people in panel vans from out here and take to the shows and that. World War 24, a real bridge, I guess, from surfers and skaters to skinheads and punks, and they had us guys, they had us guys follow them around whether they liked it or not, and they were finished, but they'd broken up by the time I was having my 21st. But Bird was in another band called Black and Blue.
Yes,
and they played at my 21st, and our drummer Smurf, when they reformed, he actually was the drummer for them for a couple of years, I guess. We're talking the early 90s. They were playing Feedback and around Newtown and all those kind of joints with Fisher stuff, and Smurf was in there for quite a while. I don't think he recorded with them.
Right.
Yeah, over the years, we even did a show with them a couple of years back up the coast when they were World War 34 at that stage.
Yes. Yep.
That Bird just keeps, every couple of years reforming a band, putting stuff out, and it's always there's a lot of history there, a lot of history.
Well, I actually first got to listen to them, and you brought them up as well. I was living in Surrey Hills in the early 80s, and next door neighbour was Jeremy Oxley from the Sunny Boys, and he was actually the person that first played World War 24 to me. He goes, "You got to listen to this, Matt. It's fucking excellent." Yeah. I listened to it, and I think it was Azaria, maybe. Yeah, I think it was Azaria, and it was just like I fell in love with them straight away. I went and saw them live so many times, and just the showmanship, and just the love of playing. These guys enjoyed playing more than the crowd enjoyed watching them. Like that they were fucking excellent. Yeah. And and so Jeremy Oxley got me into them, and it was World War 24 and I Spit on Your Gravy. They were the two bands where I'd travel fucking miles to see them, just to see them, because they were the two bands that, other than, as you said, the Sex Pistols, the Agnostic Front, Test Tube, all those bands, like they introduced me to punk. Yeah. But what really introduced me to Aussie punk was World War 24, Spit in Your Gravy. Yeah. Johnny Dole and the Scabs. Yeah. X. Yeah. So
a favourite as well.
That's why I started this show, because I've been in for a long time. I've been stuck in the 80s and early 90s of Australian punk rock. And when I had kids, too many kids, didn't get to go see any bands and shit. Yeah. My life changed, but I didn't get to hear much Aussie punk. And from the 90s onwards, what I was listening to in the 90s was NoFX, Pennywise, Bad Religion, all this sort of shit. I just didn't hear what was happening in the Australian punk scene at that stage. And then when my daughter introduced me to the internet and everything, and I got on this Australian punk site, I realized, and I've said this in so many interviews, I realized there are so many fucking amazing Australian punk bands out there that just need, this is why I'm doing the show, because they just need a voice. They need, for people like me that didn't even know that it was, it was still a big scene, for people like me to go, oh wow, fuck.
Yeah.
Australia has got a good punk scene, you know.
Yeah.
Fuck no effects. We're still going well.
Yeah. It happens when like we support some bigger band, you know, and people will come up and go, oh fuck, you know, where have you guys been? Like, you know, this is the first time we've ever heard of you. And we go, well, we've been around for 16 years, you know? And it's like, oh, fuck, I didn't know. Well, here's, you know, 4 or 5 albums you can get into if you want. And they end up buying the lot or and a T-shirt, and they go, wow. And then they know the next show. But it's only because, you know, we've had that platform of playing with someone bigger that's got them out of the house to see us, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And there's so many examples of those bands that get missed because of that. People don't go to tiny little shows and little, you know, well, people do, but most people don't. You know, it's not until you know, something big is, you know, on the horizon, they'll come out of the house to see it, you know.
Yeah. Well, that was me. It was the festivals. I never ever went to see in the 90s. I never went to see, oh, there's a punk band playing over here. I only got to see like Friends of Rom, Grinspoon, Toe to Toe, all those sort of bands. I only got to see them at festivals. I only knew them for festivals.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question. This is one I've been wanting to ask a lot of people. If you were able to do the score of a movie, what genre would the movie be? If you got to actually be, you know, do the soundtrack of that movie, what would the movie be?
Pulp Fiction.
Eh? Pulp Fiction? A movie in that sort of genre?
Pulp Fiction, Mad Max 2. They're probably, you know, when someone asks me what your favourite movie, I like lots of movies, but those two always come up. They're like bang, bang. Like, you know, something special about both of those movies. It just does something to me. You know, a bit older than that, you know, Puberty Blues. Fuck, that was a great fucking movie. You
know? And my daughter's actually getting into it because they brought out a series now, Puberty Blues.
I won't watch it. I can't watch it.
No, either will I. I won't watch it either. Yeah. But she's going, Dad, this new thing, Puberty Blues, oh, it's man. I said, no, when you get a bit older, I'll let you watch the original movie.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, musically, what's your biggest achievement musically in your mind?
Well, I don't know. Over the years, it's I come from, all I wanted to, a big thing for me was to play in my local pub in the corner. That was what I wanted, a little oi or punk band in the corner of my local pub. And, you know, I would have sold myself short if I left it at that because I've done so much. I guess when you first put an album out and then vinyl and you actually hold it in your hand and you go, fuck. Because when I was a kid, like you mentioned World War 24, those guys were up here because they had a vinyl. You know, it was hard to do, to get your shit together, to pay for it and all that. And then, you know, when our vinyl turned up from Germany over here, I was like a kid with it, you know. I was like turning it inside out, looking at the liner notes, even though I knew what was in it. It was like a fucking trophy winning the grand final to me, to have our own vinyl in my hands, you know.
I know exactly what you're saying, mate.
Yeah.
I do the same thing when my interviews come out.
Yeah.
I'm checking every hour.
Yeah.
I'm checking on every hour to see how many views have I got? Have I got any more likes? You know, I know what you're saying. And definitely. I know exactly what you're saying there. You've got kids, you were saying.
Well, yeah. Look, my wife and myself, we were together when we were 16 to 18, right? So we were going to see Rose Tattoo, Underage, and Scar bands and all this stuff. And we only lasted 2 years because of life, you know, as a teenager. 25 years later, we both had families and got divorced. And she turned up to a show we were doing in Currumbin. Well, I can't remember the name, Currumbin, anyway, pub at Currumbin. He said, I come to see what all the noise is about, you know. And there was mutual friends, ones that had moved up that way as well, and they'd turned up to the show to see us. Anyway, we got talking and nothing really happened, but we ended up having lunch in Subway and it was just flowing, and we ended up back together 18 months later. And so between us, we're kind of like, we've got 6 kids, right? Between us. I think the oldest is 33 and the youngest is 25. And now we have 4 grandkids and another one is due next week.
Wow, good on.
Yeah, there's stuff going on, you know, always. You know, so yeah, we've got one of everything. It's never boring.
Yeah. So you've played at Currumbin. I'm a Palmy boy, Palm Beach boy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you probably played at Shed 5 in Currumbin?
Yeah. A few times, yeah. Where was that?
Yeah.
Oh, out the back of Burleigh somewhere?
Yeah, Burleigh. It's at Burleigh. Did you go past Burleigh Park into Burleigh West?
Yeah. Yeah,
that way. Yeah, mad. That's excellent.
I remember one time, the first time we played there, I was like, we were trying to find the joint, you know, and you're out in the back of industrials, and we turned this corner, and I said, fuck, no one will be here. Who comes out here? And we drove up the driveway, and there was all these silhouettes of punks up in the driveway, and then I went, oh, this is going to be red hot. And it was a killer. It was one of the best shows up there. It was like the PA stacks were getting knocked over and people jumping off you know, when those ones, it was like, you know, the energy in the room was making us pump. We played for over an hour that night, pulled out covers we hadn't played for ages and all sorts of shit. It was mental. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Did you ever get to play at the Playroom in any of your bands?
No, I didn't. I think Smurf, our drummer, did when he was in Crankcase. He was in a band called Crankcase. And I won't quote that, but I think he did. I know he's been up there. He used to also do the sound for Toe to Toe as well.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember if he was up there doing the Toe to Toe thing or the sound for them, or he actually played with Crankcase. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, I never set foot in the joint.
Okay. As I was saying with the kids, do you let your kids listen to your music?
Oh, sure. Yeah. They're not little, you know what I mean? You're talking about the Frenzal thing and all that back in the 90s. That was when my kids and I took my son is now 30. I took him to see US Bombs and stuff like that, and the whole Pennywise thing he knew. He also had his own stuff going on, you know. He liked Limp Bizkit and stuff like that, I think, you know, but we do the festival thing as well, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, he'd also liked Eminem and all kinds of stuff, you know. So I never stopped them from listening to anything, and my stuff was always open if they wanted to listen. They probably got the shits with listening to it. They probably heard it so much.
Yeah. You know? Well, we're pretty much the same because my eldest is 27 and I took him to his first Warped Tour.
Yeah.
And I think I don't even think he watched the bands. He just had more fun, socializing. 2 more beers and I won't be able to get that word back out. Socializing with other people.
Yeah.
But I think because if you've been to a Warped Tour or a big punk tour festival, you know the vibe, the whole thing. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
All right.
The last one I went to was it was Pennywise and Suicidal down at Manly. So that was
97.
97, would it? 98, I'm not sure. It was around then.
I saw them at Byron Bay. MXPX were with them.
Yeah.
Pennywise, Suicidal Tendencies, Grinspoon.
Yeah, that's right.
I think 97 or 98. That was a good. I think that was the last one they did, or maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, that was when they. I think
were the Dwarves on that.
Eh?
Were the Dwarves on that, or was that another one?
That was the year after, actually.
Was
You're
it?
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. What's the best gig that you've headlined?
Oh shit!
And who your support band?
I can't remember I'd say when I say the best gig, it's hard to pick a best gig, but we were in New Zealand and we played Christchurch, and it was in a squat, and it was probably the wildest show we ever played. And I can't remember who the support bands were, but the pit was that wild. A guy broke his leg, and we probably 40 people there, but it was it was intense. And he was limping around with his bent leg, and he didn't go home. He said, "My fucking leg's sore." But I thought they had those big RSJs for pylons, and they had mattresses tied around them. People were bouncing mattresses and that. And
mad.
I remember someone landed on my leg. Like, the stage wasn't very high, so they were jumping off the stage, and I thought, "Fuck! If I don't get my leg out of here, it's gonna break." So that was a pretty intense show, that one. The funny thing is, that kid, you know, I can't remember his face as we speak, but we were playing Rebellion Festival, and I was outside in Blackpool in England, and this guy tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Oh, hi, mate, you might not remember me, but I broke my leg at your show in New Zealand." I'll go, "Oh, remember that." Yeah. So Christchurch, and I think the venue, the squat was called the Glory Hole.
Okay.
And but when the earthquake hit, the place got fucking hammered, and it doesn't exist anymore. So I'll put that one. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Definitely. What's your favourite venue that you've ever played? In Australia.
Oh shit. I like the Metro. The Metro as one of the bigger ones that we've played, and it probably goes for the same for seeing bands. The sound, it's got one of those floors that goes up like that, so you can see whether there's a tall prick in front of you or not, because I'm short ass, So, but I always love tight, small bars as well, like the Sando was pretty good.
The Newtown?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Well, I like on the floor shows, are my personal favourites, anything that everyone's here, right in your face. It's, it's hard to pick a favourite venue,
Yeah.
Really.
It's pretty heartbreaking we're losing the Lansdowne. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
For a hot.
I mean, if we would be here all afternoon trying to think of venues we've lost over the years, But, I went to a gig, a week ago, Thursday, and it was in a brewery.
Okay.
And it was good. I hadn't been to one in a brewery before. Wow. There's a lot starting to happen, and the vibe was really good. And I think for underground kind of bands, it just pushes you further into the underground, into basements and sweaty little places. We'll always keep going. The favourite shows I've ever done are in people's lounge rooms. I love a good lounge room,
Yeah, oh, for sure.
As long as there's a big space and a PA, you'll be all right,
Exactly.
It'll just keep moving, I think, the brewery thing, I was quite surprised. I didn't know what to expect. And even though it was a bit COVID-y, I got in trouble for dancing. The band, their encore was Sympathy for the Devil. And I started to move a bit, and the chick behind the bar come running around and went like this. And I went, "What?" And she said, "You can't dance." I went, "Oh, fuck," I didn't even think of it,
You got to be a Christian, be in Hillsong to do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. the government's letting them do it, but they're not letting us.
Yeah. Look, this too shall pass. It won't last forever, you know.
No.
I don't like it. I don't like any of it, but I think as a generation, the generations that are involved, I think we're very lucky, you know, that this is our thing. You know, my old man's crew had Vietnam, you know, and his parents had World War II and great-grandparents had World War I and other pandemics. Like, the most this has affected me is it's fucked up my social life and my band. You know, we could be a lot worse. And I've got to throw the gratitude at it that we fucking live in a place, as much as I don't like the Australian government and how they've handled it, that we've actually, as a country, we've been very lucky. You know, we haven't had bodies always like India and fucking piled up and morgues in Centennial Park like over in America. You know what I mean? Like, we have been very lucky. You can bitch and moan all we like about how not being allowed to dance and wear a mask, but at the end of the day, and I believe it's getting better. You know, I've just been over the city in over there, and people are starting to move around a bit. Now, that's why I was caught. I didn't expect the traffic that I got coming back, because I've been able to zoom over there and with no traffic. And we come back and I was like, fuck, I'm going to be late for the interview. I better message him, you know. And I was in the house 2 minutes late. I hate being late. Fuck, I hate being late.
It's great.
Okay,
so you mentioned the Divinyls, the Sunny Boys, the Angels and everything. Am I right in saying the 80s? What's your favourite decade of music?
It'd have to be 80s.
It would, wouldn't it?
Late 70s into the 80s, mid-80s. Yeah.
Have you heard of the Divinyls reformed? Have you heard about that?
Did it happen? I don't think it happened, did it?
They did a couple of gigs because they got this 18-year-old girl on vocals, and she's just. I think they stopped because all this girl was doing was trying to be like Chrissy. So, you know, Chrissy did the sex thing brilliantly. You know what I mean? And that was natural for Chrissy. And this girl's trying to be like that. It's shit. Like, and they're my favorite Australian band, the Vinyls. So
Look, you'd shoot Bill, totally, you know, and for an 18-year-old, like I did hear a song and I thought, oh yeah, that's all right, but it's not something I'd go and see. You can't expect to see the Divinyls without Chrissy.
No,
you just can't.
I saw her at the Playroom and a few times at the Playroom, and she just had that persona that could not be it couldn't be replicated by anybody.
Of course not. You know,
just like you got what's his name from the Screaming Jets singing for the Angels. He does a good job. He does a good job.
Yeah, that's a band I have seen a few times, and I've also seen Steve Balby singing for My Sex. Wow. And he does a good, but neither of them, Dave or Steve Balby, try to be, you know, Dave doesn't try to be Doc.
No, not at all.
And Steve doesn't try to be Steve Giplin, you know? And they do their own thing. And, you know, as I said, I love the Angels, and I don't mind seeing Dave out the front because he's just being Dave.
He's just a brilliant person.
Yeah, but it's not Doc and the Angels, and it never will be, never can be. No. You know, and
it's like the Noiseworks guy singing for
My
In Excess.
Sorry.
When he sang In Excess, you know, he did it his way.
Yeah.
So he played songs that were, you know, done by Michael Hutchence, but he did it his way, and it wasn't. You didn't go to the gig, thinking going to a mongrel Hutchence in excess gig. You were going to see excess with a different vocalist.
Well, we had that experience with the Dead Kennedys. We were fortunate enough to back the Dead Kennedys on two of their Australian tours in their Sydney shows, and one was over at the uni, and the other one was at a local pub here at Motörhead.
Okay.
And a lot of people were going, I'm not going, it's not Jello. And I agreed with them totally. And I wasn't going to the show until we got asked to support them. And I went, fuck yeah, we'll have that. And when I went, right, I stood there after we played and watched them. And I watched at both shows was venues packed to the absolute hilt with people having a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I thought, this guy's doing a great job.
Yeah, good on him.
Yellow, huge shoes to fill, but he's doing a good job. And there's a level there of people, you know, who are just having a ball. Didn't matter. Would I buy a new album of theirs? No. You know? And it's a sort of fine line that you walk there. You know, I can go and enjoy the night with him singing those songs, but would it be a real Dead Kennedys album if it came out? Oh, you know? But you might think that, and everyone's allowed to think that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Like, there's bands that it's worked for. AC/DC is one of them. I'm a Bond man myself. But
are you actually going to say Axl Rose here?
No, I was going to say Brian with Back in Black. That worked. But I'm not a great Brian fan, really. Like, the stuff after that, it all sort of becomes a bit samey to me. Back in Black was you.
It was written in 2 weeks.
Let's go to Axl. Now you've mentioned him. I thought, what a fucking, that's going to be a Frankenstein. Now I didn't go to the show, but I watched any of the shows, but I watched the video and I thought, it fucking works. Axl's voice works. You know, if I'm going, I've got to expect what I'm going to see. You know, I'm not going. I've got a choice. I don't have to go. And as a band who work hard and it is a money-making machine, let's face it, it is. It's, you know, you're selling fucking little red horns at $10 each, that, you know, all shit. It's their business. Why don't they keep going? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Always about to rock.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No,
you know,
I really...
vocally, Axl did a fantastic job at singing those songs. He was even in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I understand. I disagree because I hate Guns N' Roses. So mentally, I've got a total hate for Axl Rose. So even if he sang for the Beagles, I would not like him.
And hang on to your seat, because I like Axl as a singer, and I don't mind the Gunners. But that's the thing about music. You can take what you fucking want and you can leave the rest, you know? And at the end of the day, it's the band who are doing all the hard work, and it's up to them that call the shots, right? You know?
Yeah.
So bands put out fucking synthesizer albums, I hate. You know, some of my old oi bands like the Blitz, right? Their second album, Second Empire Justice, it was called, was fucking disgusting. You know? I don't have to like it. It didn't do them any favours. They finished up after that. But you know what I mean? Like, they're doing it. You know, they're doing it. You know? So...
What music would you... Okay, you're married, but what music would you listen to while you're cleaning the house?
My wife is a big Rose Tattoo fan. We're on the same page around a lot of stuff, right? So, yeah, any Aussie rock stuff. If we get in the car for a road trip, she's picking the music. It's always Aussie rock and roll stuff.
Excellent.
You know, early mornings, coffee time. I'll be putting on Muddy Waters or Howling Wolf, bit of blues, or a bit of old school Trojan ska music. You know, the real old black guy stuff. You know, anything like that. This morning I played The Numbers because I got that in the mail yesterday.
Okay.
You know, sitting around the house doing the housework, anything, you know, like that could be on. There was a stage there where I had to hide the My Sex CD because she played it fucking over and over and over. And I love him, but I was doing my head in. So I had to hide it.
Yeah. What is your favourite state you've played in? What? And I'm not mean pissed. I mean the state of Australia.
Oh, fuck.
I try to make them as hard as I can. Sorry, bro.
Well, I have to say New South Wales, hometown.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Did you ever play the Hope Town?
Hope Town?
Did you ever play? Yeah.
No, never played the Hope Town. I saw X there.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I saw X Rock Against Word when they did their Raw gigs on a Monday. I think it was Rock Against Work.
Yeah, through the week. Like, I went to that.
Yeah. Great venue. I loved it. That was one of my favourite venues.
Like 90, late 90s, 96 or 7 or something, was it? Would it be?
I'm actually in the 80s when I saw him at
okay.
When I saw, like, with the Hard-Ons, with Red Planet Rockets, Splatterheads.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Loved. What's your favourite venue in Sydney?
I used to, the Annandale was pretty good.
Yeah, great.
I liked the Lansdowne, as we mentioned before. The Excelsior at Surrey Hills was a beauty when that was going.
Excellent. Yeah.
We did 2 nights with UK subs over there. That was fucking unreal. 2 nights. Those subs were sitting upstairs, you know. And now
are they a good bunch of guys?
Yeah. Charlie's about 78 now.
Oh, easy.
He's always got time for people too. Like he's one of those dudes that'll sit there at the merch stand and talk to people and sign things, and that's the way it should be. You know, he's always got time for you. You know, he's got a Japanese wife, Fumi, and she helps him out with all the merch and stuff, and great bunch of guys, mate. At the end of the day, right? I'm a punter who loves music, who formed a band. Like, I want to, you know what I mean? Like, but I know what you mean. Yeah, they are. Well, I mean, it has to change when they know you're in a band or they realise who they're talking to, because the questions start then.
Yeah.
They start asking you questions about stuff and that, and that's fine. I don't mind. I mean, you know, we're at a level where overseas, when we go, we're signing record covers and getting photos taken with people and stuff, and getting stopped in the street at where the festival is, which is really nice, and it's fine to play fucking rock star for a weekend. You fly home to Australia and you're pushing a lawnmower on the fucking Monday. Keeps it real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It keeps it real. Like, but it's one of those things. I think, would you like this full time? And the answer's no. It would become a job. It would become a fucking, oh, fuck, leave me alone, you know, kind of thing, where it's good to head out and do it and, you know, get the fucking ego fucking fluffed up a little bit, you know, and because that's true. That's what happens. People, especially over in England and that, like a bloke stopped me in the street in Blackpool and goes, "This is my daughter. Can we all get a family shot with you?" You know? I was like, fuck yeah. You know? Yeah. And they go, "Thank you so much for your time." And I was like, dude, thank you. Like, fuck, you guys come and see us. There's no point us getting on a stage and playing to fucking nobody. people are the ones that make it happen and make it worthwhile. And Rust aren't one of those. I hear bands say, look, we perform the same if there's 4 people in the room or there's fucking 400. I wish I could say that, but I fucking can't. I feed off the energy the audience has given me. You know, I'm not going to sit down. If there's 4 people, they'll get a decent show. But if there's 400 fucking, you know, going off their tits, it's like, fuck yeah, we get crazy. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's almost scary where we can end up with the
for sure.
You know? Energy builds energy, you know?
Yep, 100%.
And so it really is a two-way street. You know, we're not up here. We're with everyone else. We are fucking punters. We love the shit, you know? We are punters who formed a band because we love it so much. But it is hard. It's harder to enjoy a band because you're sitting there, or you're standing now, you know, like you're sitting there at the moment, because they're always thinking, fuck, I wish I was up there. Once you cross that fucking line of being, you know, you go, and you know how good what sort of high you can be on from a fucking amazing show.
Yeah.
Hard to go back.
Yeah.
You know? I still go and see bands and enjoy them, but I guess my main enjoyment comes out of fucking ripping the shit out of some little venue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like we played some fucking packed out shows, but even like these tiny little shoebox basement things in fucking Glasgow and stuff, 30 people.
Yeah.
Unreal. Unreal. You know, that's so down off the street into a basement where you know, fucking wall to wall people, fits 30, and they're treading over your pedals and fucking pushing your mic stands over, and you go, fuck, how good is that? How good is that? You know?
It's excellent. Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of footage of Gigi Allen and the Motor Junkies, and like he's there getting the shit kicked out of him by the crowd.
Yeah.
And the band is playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's trying to get the microphone to his mouth, and fucking people are just bashing the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But and the band's still playing. They're saying this is it. This is punk rock. You know, fucking. We're not going to stop and go, oh please, security, can you help us?
Nah.
You know.
But that's their version of punk rock.
Yeah.
Everyone's allowed to have their version, I guess, until it's not punk rock. There's hip hop. I'm not about it.
That's good. Most memorable gig you've ever played?
We played one in a place called Crawley in England. It's outside. Well, I think it's sort of part of the Greater London, and we played there with The Last Resort and another band called Skin Graft. Now, anyone that knows me well enough knows Last Resort are in my fucking top 10 fucking bands, you know, like as a teenage little skinhead fucking to actually going and playing there. We got out of the van and there's all these fucking massive skinheads with their face tattoos and shit. And one big bloke goes, oh, I heard you Aussies are pretty good. And I went, oh, thanks. He goes, you fucking better be. I was like, whoa. Anyway, mate, it was fucking unreal. It was so good. Yeah. Yeah. So,
what is your most memorable gig you've been to as a punter?
Sex Pistols 96.
Wow.
According to or Rose Tattoo and X together.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, and what happened was it was a big reunion, and members of Rose, like Ian Ryland was still alive, Peter Wells was still alive, and the members of X, they all sort of got up and did a bit of mixed matching sort of stuff on stage. And I really believe that night something happened to my hearing. It was at the Metro in town.
Okay. Yeah.
And I walked out of there and something had changed. And it wasn't that loud. It was not enjoyable. Motörhead 91. That was the 16?
I can't, man. I saw Motörhead on the Gold Coast, 91.
Yeah.
The Frozen Dobermans were backing them up.
Yeah.
Some guy with a blonde flat top threw a bottle at Lemmy. They played 3 songs. Okay. So before we go, because the bar's about to shut,
right.
You got any stories about playing in a band?
Have I what?
You got any stories of a great night? Have you got any stories of, oh, fuck, other than I saw a guy break his leg?
Well, the last tour was 2019, and we were doing we were going over through Belgium, Holland and Germany, back to Scotland, England, doing the festival, and the tour poster went up, and we got this message from these 2 German chicks that they were really keen to see us come over and play, and we were playing about 50 k's from their hometown in Munich. So we sort of made them meet them, at the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we met them at the show, they were identical twins, and
wow.
they were completely blind. And they got down the front and they sang every fucking word of our songs, right? And fuck, I'm getting a bit emotional. And they got into it. They were in the pit, and people were kind of looking after them, right? But they were down the front, center of stage, singing along, and fucking glasses are being smashed and people rucking around and all that stuff. Anyway, after the show, we got talking to them and gave them a T-shirt and shit, and they said, we're going to go over to Blackpool to see you play the festival. We went, oh, wow, that's great. And they had their mum with them, who was our age, right? She was in her 50s. And we didn't know it was their mum at the time. We just thought it was someone caring for them, getting them around. We didn't know who she was. And so she started to chime in on the conversation and that. And the girls said, we want to go, there's a big amusement park in Blackpool. And they go, we want to go and ride this big roller coaster over there. Will you guys take us? Or actually, no, the question was, we're looking for someone to take us on there.
Okay.
And we went, well, fuck. Well, we're in Blackpool, we'll do it. And we did. And we met these young chicks and we took them fucking by their hand and walked them onto this fucking ride. And they were like, and screaming and fucking ripping around. We ended up going on it twice and sat at ice creams afterwards and fucking just had a great day. It was brilliant. That'll stay with me forever.
Oh, definitely. Did they speak, was their English pretty fluent?
Fantastic English. They teach English in schools over there. Yeah. So they were understand every word. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Fucking oath. That's a story that I really want to finish the show with. Because that is beautiful, man. That's actually fucking, that is a story that I'm sure you'll tell your grandchildren.
Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't much better.
It doesn't, mate.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the bar's shutting. Thank you so much. I tried to get you on last year, but I lost your contact, so that never happened. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. I so much appreciate it.
There's things I've got to do. I've got no time to sleep it off, but it's great hanging out with you. Sharing drinks and sharing laughs, the stories and the lies. And if the cops come calling, you're my alibi. 'Cause I'm heading out hungover. There's things I've got to do. But if I could, I would stay hanging out with you. Yes, if I could, I would keep hanging out with you. Laughing, walking, singing, talking, and all that we could do. Sharing some laughs over the past and finding out what's new. Yes, if I could, I would keep hanging out with you.